Thursday, everyone. We have a good time coming your way. I am super excited for this bad boy today. It's gonna be a good day. I have some good ideas about this one. Good thoughts. But what we got for our warm up today? We got a plank walkout for 3 to 5 with a 3-second hold in that end range and in the plank. So I'd like to see you guys hold both ends of this movement again, just for a chance to set up and control both ends. Arch hold for 10 to 20 seconds. PVC Prone Raise for 3 at 10 seconds. Arch up for 10, alternating back and forth. And then a bridge for 10 to 20. That can be loaded or unloaded. We're just looking at opening up the hips a little bit, prime up the glutes, get things fired up. 2 rounds of that, and then we're going to move into some dumbbell stuff. So it's going to be a nice sequence. We're going to do a dumbbell Sumo Deadlift for 3, dumbbell Sumo Deadlift high pull for 2, and then 1 Hang Power Snatch with the dumbbell, and then repeat on the opposite side to get that fired up and get those movements that we're playing with in the workout, practice, home, and ready for action. After that, you're going to lay on your back and do some dead bugs for 6 to 10 alternating reps just to balance out the hips and the shoulders. Take some time to heat up the core a little bit and get ready for the workout. You can hit that up for 3 rounds. If you want to add in a little bit of extra cardio work in there, you can work on some jump overs, add in a little bit of treadmill work if you had it at home, but nothing too crazy, but just to get the heart rate up a little bit more. After that, we have the work set, 6 rounds. Oh yeah, 6 rounds. We're going to work on a nice little pull motion today. We're going to do a dumbbell sumo deadlift for 10 per side. Then you'll move into V-up for 10 or V-up option, and then you'll finish off with a hang power snatch with the dumbbell for 5 per side. So you're going to use the same dumbbell for the snatch and for the deadlift. And my hope is once we finish that 5th snatch on that one side, you'll take that dumbbell to the other side and just go right into your deadlifts to start the next round. Hopefully we can pull that off depending on your grip. But again, you're going to switch hands to the other side. We'll show you what that's all about once we get going in our warm-up. So let's get ready to go. We'll have some fun today, get the body ready, and move ourselves closer to the weekend. All right, let's get Taker down. All right, let's do this. Let's get our feet under those hips. We'll take the arms big and tall up overhead. We're just gonna shrug those shoulders. We're gonna bring them back down. We're gonna scratch our back with both hands. And then we're just gonna start by pulling our ribs in and reaching, and then come down. And then reach and down, reach and down, and reach and down. Then take the arms up, a little shrug. Come back down with the hands. We'll bring them out to that nice hip position. We'll take those hips around a few times just to wake things up. We got a little bit of hip action going on in our workout today, so we want to make sure that they're ready to go. We'll go the other way. Start opening those things up a little bit more. Good. From here, we'll bring our feet together. Nice and gentle around those knees. Again, try to keep our feet flat as well, just to work on our ankle mobility and wake those ankles up. Other way. Nice and slow. Good. We'll come back up onto the toes and the heels. Toes, heels, toes, and heels. Plant them. Step the feet apart. Big stretch. We're going to forward fold, touching those toes. Walk up the shins. We'll come down, planting the hands. We'll step back into our lovely plank position, pulling our ribs, pressing our shoulders up. We'll extend up into our down dog. And we're going to come back into our plank. And then again, we're going to come back up into our down dog. And back into our plank. And one more time, up into our down dog. And back into our plank. From here, we're going to lean a little bit. We'll lean a little bit. We'll come back to center, pull forward. And we'll come back through. Tiptoe those feet up, forward fold. We're going to roll ourselves up. Big stretch. Clasp your fingers, press up. We'll bring them straight ahead. We're going to round out the upper back. So push those hands far away from the chest. And then come back up overhead. Reach. And reach. And come back down with those hands. Let's rock and roll. If you would like to do a little bit more kind of gentle warm up, please do so. Get yourself ready to go. I'm going to move into the next phase, but if you'd like to work on some wrist stuff, not a bad idea, or some rotational work, also not a bad idea. So pause that video, take that down if you like. I'm going to move in to to our next phase of work, which is going to start off with a plank walkout. Our plank walkout is going to start from our plank position. So our hands are going to be under our shoulders, our feet together. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips into the hollow and press my shoulders to the ceiling. From here, I'm going to walk my hands out as far as I feel comfortable, set in that hollow position, and then walk my hands back into my plank. Now, if you're looking at that going, oh, okay, I don't know about that. I just want you to take your hands as far as you can maintain that hollow. So it doesn't have to be so far out that your nose is just off the floor. We have to make sure that we can come back in as well. But if you're kind of unsure of that from the toes, what we can do is establish our really good solid position here in our plank, lower our knees to our knee plank, and then walk ourselves out. And you'll notice that my hollow position is still established, it's still being maintained, but I'm able to get a little further out because I'm not putting as much pressure on my shoulders as I am from the toes. So experiment with those two things and see how it feels. All in all, nice hollow shape is what we're looking for. Good set shoulders, nice tight core. We're then going to work the opposite direction. We're going to work that extension. So we're going to lay on our stomach, set up our position here, and we're going to work an arch hold. So I am going to inhale, reaching through my fingers and toes, extending as long as I can, thinking about length, and I'm going to hold that position. If I can't quite get it with both hands and feet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one hand, one foot, and I'm going to reach and lengthen and hold, and then once half the time is done, I'll switch sides to the other side. Thinking mostly about reaching for length. So trying to send my fingers across the floor, reaching along, my toes extending long to the back. So I'm trying to lengthen my body out as much as I possibly can. After my arch hold, I'm going to move into a PVC Prone Raise. So I'm going to work on that hollow again. So I'm going back and forth from the hollow to extension. So I come back onto my stomach, but I'm going to set it up from the toes down. So I'm going to set my toes together and into the floor. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, pull my ribs and hips in so I get that hollow. I'm going to press my armpits down, press the palms down so I can feel that hollow shape. Now I'm going to maintain that shape as I lift my arms up and try and maintain that tension as I focus on opening up the shoulders a little bit. And then I come down and relax. And then set the rep up again from the toes to the fingers. It's not a bad idea to work on engaging with that nice pressure into the floor to maintain that hollow position, especially if you struggle with that tuck. That kind of laying position, even without lifting the arms up, can be really beneficial. Sometimes in classes, what I'll have people do is just hold that position without the lift for 10 seconds. Then the second rep, I'll get them to do the lift. And then the third rep, I'll get them to stay down, working on creating that tension and the shape of the hollow with the floor assistance. So feel free to play with that and experiment with that because it's a very beneficial movement and it really does help create the shape we're after for hangs, handstands, all that good stuff, all right? And the V-ups that are coming later on. So it's a nice little drill you can experiment with and tweak to make yours. After the prone raise, what we're going to do is more arch ups. So not an arch hold, but an alternating arch up. So I'm going to have my eyes down. I'm going to inhale, reach for length. And then I'm going to inhale, reach for length. And I'm going to keep this dynamic. So I'm trying to lengthen as best I can per side. I'm going to work on that for 10 to 20 reps total count. So I'm just going to work on that back and forth with my breathing, not rushing, but again, working on my length and extension. Finally, I'm going to lay on my back. I've been laying on my stomach the whole time so far, so I'm going to flip over on my back. My feet are going to come just outside my fingers. Pressing my hands into the floor, I'm going to squeeze my glutes and lift those hips up. And then I'm going to come back down. And I'm going to do 10 to 20 dynamic bridges, working on engaging my glutes here. So squeezing my glutes to lift them up into that extended position. So we want to make sure that my shoulders and my feet are being my main support box and not my head and neck. All right, so my shoulders, that little extra pressure back into the hands can help engage the chest a little bit to give me some more foundation there for that as I can focus on my glutes. If you want to load that, you're more than welcome to. But again, it's warm up. We're just trying to charge them and get them ready. So don't overkill or overload that bridge. Quick recap, we have a plank walkout for 3 to 5 at a 3-second hold, arch hold for 10 to 20 seconds, PVC Prone Raise 3 at 10 seconds, arch up for 10 alternating reps, bridge for 10 to 20, and then 2 rounds of that piece just to get the core, get the body kind of moving around. It's Thursday, so it's always nice to get that body kind of woken up a little bit slower with the core work. Pause the video, take that down for yourself, get yourself ready to go, heat it up from the inside out. We're going to move into some dumbbell work, which is going to consist of some skills we're going to need in the workout. So I'm going to grab my dumbbell here, and today all I need is 1 dumbbell for all my exercises. The only thing I'd say is if you wanted to have 2, is if you struggle with weight overhead and you're really, really good with the weight from the floor, but overhead kind of struggles and you have some limitations there, definitely have 2 different loads. You can have one for the deadlift portion and for the snatch. But for today, for the warm-up, let's stick with the same weight. So what I'm going to do is stand over top of my dumbbell, and my feet are going to have it cut right through the middle where my laces are. I'm going to stand nice and upright. I'm going to pull my hips back and down to get to that dumbbell. Now I'm going to work on just the deadlift. So I'm going to stand tall with the same side the whole time. Take it down to my range, maintaining my back position. Stand tall. I'm going to do that 3 times. After the 3rd one, I'm going to work on a Sumo Deadlift high pull, just to get used to my legs doing the work and getting that dumbbell moving. So I'm going to take it down. I'm going to stand, building momentum and allowing that dumbbell to move with the lift of the legs. So I'm going to do that for 2. I'm going to stand, lift, and then I'm going to pause at the hang. So because our next lift is going to come from the knee. So I'm going to take it from my knee and I'm going to snatch. Stand tall and come back down. Then I'll repeat on the opposite side. So I'm going to show you on the opposite side what that sequence looked like from the front, so you guys can have an idea of that from the front. Keep in mind, all of the snatches, the Sumo Deadlift, the Sumo Deadlift high pull, all has that nice solid deadlift back, that hinge position. So we want to make sure we're staying true to that good back position through all of these movements. So the deadlift from the front, I get that nice stand, just coming up to that hip, taking it down as deep as I feel comfortable to maintain back position. Stand tall, then I move into the high pull, so I get a little bit more momentum behind that. I pull back and down, and then I stay here at the hang, take it to the knee, drive, and I work that snatch, come down, and then continue on. So I work through that sequence, 3, 2, 1, per side, then I move forward into my DeadBug. So I get to lay down again. So laying down, I'm going to give myself a big stretch, just to open up the body. I'm going to press my little back into the floor, and I get my knees above my hips, my legs, nice and balanced and square, and then my hands are going to come straight up. So I'm creating an upside down table. I'm going to take my right hand, my left foot, and I'm going to extend them nice and long, as far as I can, keeping my low back flat. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to extend, keeping that low back flat, and come back in. I'm going to work through that nice and slow for 6 to 10 reps. Remembering that this needs to stay down against the floor as I work on that extension. So if as I'm extending my arm and leg, I feel that I can't maintain that back connection to the floor, I'm going to stop right before that back starts to lift. So I want to make sure that I'm in contact in that hollow the entire time I do that DeadBug. So really take your time. These aren't meant to go fast, and we really want to isolate each side of the body. So take the time to work on that little bit of coordination work. It can be a little confusing, especially if you do it first thing in the morning or right at the end of the day. So take your time, have some fun with that one. Quick recap, we have 3 rounds. Dumbbell Sumo Deadlift into our dumbbell Sumo Deadlift high pull for 2. Dumbbell hang Power Snatch for 1. Repeat on the opposite side, and then lay down into 6 to 10 alternating DeadBugs. If you'd like to add anything else in there, you can. Some cardio pieces, some skipping, some running, whatever you want to do, and then move into the work set. Pause the video, take down that skill work, get yourself ready to go, make sure everything feels good. We got 6 rounds of work coming your way. So our work set today is 6 rounds, dumbbell Sumo Deadlift for 10 per side. Then you're gonna lay on your back and you're gonna do 10 V-ups or V-up options. And then you're gonna take the dumbbell from the hang position, so above the knee, into a power position for 5 per side. So the deadlift, we already did in our warm-up, but I just wanna show you again what that's gonna look like. So what we do is we're gonna come through that nice solid position from the floor. I'm gonna do all 10 on one side, working my good range of motion, making sure I stand all the way up, and I'm controlling the range with my back position. Then I'll switch, and I'll do 10 on the opposite side. So it's gonna be a little lighter for your deadlift portion, but that doesn't mean we have to rush. We wanna make sure we're hitting our key points of performance. Feet are flat, knees are tracking those toes, my hips are staying high, and my body's about a 45. So we get that good hinge position. Really focus on that hinge and feeling your hamstrings. After that, we have our V-up. So again, we have multiple variations for the V-up, you guys. So I want you to keep playing and mix and matching these. Don't just get stuck with one option. Play with all of them. They're all very good and they all serve their own little purpose. So our first option we have is the full double leg V-up. So I lay back, I snap my upper body and lower body together, reaching for my toes, and I come back. I work on that pace, and I get myself going at the same time. Chest and thigh meeting each other. If I'm not quite comfortable with the double, I can work on the single, and I'm going to reach up towards my toes to try and tie my shoelaces. And I'm closing the distance here between my chest and thigh as I reach up towards my toe. If the straight leg kind of eludes you at the moment, we can work on the tuck. So I'm going to sit up, get into that tuck, extend. So I'm pulling, again, meeting my chest and thighs about up in that halfway point, not just one coming the full distance. It's a 50-50 split between the lower and the upper body. I can also do that with a single leg as well, opposed to just doing the double, and that's a really nice way to work on compression through the hip. Now, if the hinging is like me, I want to get that good engagement, but I'm not quite sure about all the hinging. What we can do is the hollow. So I pull my ribs and hips together. It lifts my shoulders up and my feet up just a bit. And I get that low back into the floor. Again, too, with this, we can do that with a single. So we get both hands, but we just alternate back and forth through the feet. Nice and smooth. So that's a nice way to kind of get that engagement through the hollow, get that good tuck, if that's something you want to work on. You can also bring a foot up and work on that same thing with a foot on the floor. It gives you a little bit more foundation to help with that tuck. From there, if we find that we struggle with the V-up in terms of getting the upper body up, but the lower body does a lot of the work, we have two options for you guys. We have our pike sit-up or straddle sit-up. So I lay back, I sit up tall with my legs straight, and try and touch my toes. I can do the same thing from a straddle position. So I lay, I reach through the middle, same concept, just a slightly different feel in the legs and the hamstring. Or I can work on that leg toe touch. So I press my low back into the floor, I lift my legs up to that L, my hands are reaching towards my toes, and I'm going to pull my ribs and hips together to focus on that upper body portion of the V-up and crunch to get the strength in the abdominals to be able to lift my chest up and legs up to join midway through. All of those options are great options. They all offer a slightly different kind of stimulus to the body, so play with them. Mix and match them throughout different workouts, but definitely have some fun with them today. Pick the one that's going to give you the best response you need for today's work set. Our last exercise on the workout is a Hang Power Snatch. So that just means when I'm done my V-ups, I'll stand up, I will deadlift the dumbbell to the hip, then I will take the dumbbell to the knee, and I will snatch it from the knee. Some people find these a little bit more challenging because we don't have as much momentum coming from the floor and as much leg drive. So we do have to snap under it a little faster. So we take it to the knee, that good hinge position. My weight is through my midfoot, and then I'm going to come up, drive, keeping that dumbbell close that we practiced in the high pull. All right, and then snap underneath, landing in a power squat. So So I'm landing in that little pause position, arm is overhead, and I stand in this good overhead position. We'll say that I've just done 5 on both sides. I'm coming down to start my next round. I can definitely take it, transition it, and start my deadlift for 1 and 2, right? So if you need to, finish the 5 on one side, finish the 5 on the other side, switch hands, start that deadlift. See if you can kind of link the rounds that way, at least one side at a time, and see how that goes. It's gonna be a fun little workout. It's gonna be a kind of a gut check in terms of how long you wanna hold on to the dumbbell. Definitely break some things up in the beginning, a couple rounds, so that you last into those later rounds of the 4 to 6. This is gonna be a fun little work set. It's gonna be a nice core burner, hip burner. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll have some round options. I'll have some movement options in there as well for you guys. But have fun today, work for quality, and enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow, coming at you for our Friday workout.